Hi, I'm Mary Ann from Tales from the Cornish Sewing Box. I'm going to introduce you to this new course, Build a Profitable Sewing Business. Now, how am I able to do that? Well, I've been self-employed since 1985. So I'm used to the ins and outs of building businesses and making my living that way. It's a long time not to have an employer and having to live by your own thoughts, your own business building. So I've been sewing since I was a small child. My mother taught me, and I just carried on basically, did classes at school. But it was passion laced with determination. You do need a bit of determination if you want to build a business. My sewing business has been going since 2012. And at that time, I was living on a narrowboat with my then partner. We've since got married, a dog and a couple of cats on a 60-foot boat. And we had everything on there. I had all my sewing equipment, several sewing machines, loads of fabric, and all the bits and pieces that go with sewing. So if I can build a profitable business from that small space, I'm sure you can from wherever you live or want to work. But you've got to think why you want to build a business. It can't just be for the money, because that takes time to build. But there's various things I'll show you that can speed things up a bit. And perhaps if you're in need of income now, might be one of the routes you want to take. But we'll discuss that a bit later on. Now, if you've never been self-employed before, you need to think about this, because at the moment, if you're working for somebody, you have a regular salary, you know what you've got coming in, you have sick pay, you have holidays, and you have time when you're not working, i.e. you might work from 9 till 6 or something similar, and possibly with a break for lunch. I'm only guessing, but when you're working for yourself, you can either end up working all the hours you're not sleeping, or you don't work enough. You don't put enough energy into it. But we'll talk about this throughout the course. Now, the legalities of it all. Okay, so if you want to work from home, now, there's several things you must consider with this. If you rent your property, then you must ask your landlord's permission to run a business from home. That's if you're going to be having people coming to the house, okay? So he can't reasonably refuse, or she can't reasonably refuse, but it is extra hassle, of course. So bear this in mind. Now, if you're paying a mortgage, you need to let your mortgage provider know. They could demand that you repay the full amount of the outstanding mortgage immediately. I've never heard of this happening, but I want you to be prepared that it could if you don't let them know you're running a business. If you're just, working from home on your own and you're not having extra people there, there's no reason that anyone should know you're running a business, really. But there's several different ways you can run your sewing business. We're going to go through them all, don't worry. Okay, HMRC, you will need to register with them. They usually allow you a month or so. Now, I would suggest that you register with them a month or so after you've started earning. Okay, so that you can set things up and you'll know that this business is for you. Because otherwise, if you set up with HMRC and you're not running a business, they're going to keep hounding you for information and figures and this sort of thing. Okay, so you need public liability insurance, particularly if you're having people visit your house. Okay. If you hire venues, I like to have insurance in place, but you would probably be covered by the insurance that the owners of the building have for it. Right, your neighbours. Okay, now, if you're going to have, for instance, if you're teaching sewing and you want to teach at home, then you're going to be having people calling at your house and probably wanting to park their cars. Is the room. You don't want to upset your neighbours by keep pinching their parking places. Now, if they're out at work all day and you teach during those hours, they're not going to know that the cars were parked in their places if it's along the road. They might even let you park people in their drives, but you'll have to ask. I haven't had to do that, I must admit. Okay, the other thing, legality, is sewing machines. If you're using them, if other people are using them, or they're taking them anywhere, if people are bringing their machines to you to use, they must be PAT tested, PAT testing. You can get an electrician to do that for you, but then you'll be covered. I did hire a venue once where a lovely girl brought along a really old sewing machine. We plugged it in and it fused all the electricity in the building. Hey-ho, but we got over it, we got round it. Okay, now, something that I would like you to do, as it's a good idea to sort your brain out what you're doing, is do a mind map, which is really a brain dump of all the ideas and thoughts you've got in your head. You can just write them all down in a jumbled heap if you wish. I like to do a mind map. So I start in the center with a circle with, in this case, it would be, how am I going to build a sewing business? Then you're going to have little lines going off it saying to things like, what sort of business am I going to run? Am I going to teach sewing? Am I going to do repairs and alterations? Am I going to make stuff to sell? Am I going to make bespoke items? Am I going to do wedding dress alterations? Now, the only one of those I haven't done is the wedding dress, because I was living on a narrow boat. So there is no space for big dresses to be kept beautifully clean. I had a black dog, and one of the cats was black and the other was tabby. There would be animal hairs floating in the air. You can't help it. Not the place for wedding dresses. If you have a separate room that is only going to be used for that, and it can be kept immaculately clean, and you are experienced seamstress, go for it. You will make a good living. But I'm sorry, it's not for me. So you can also, to do your mind map, use a program on the computer called MindMeister, MindMeister, I think, or something very similar. If you can't find it, just look up mind mapping. There's lots of different ways to do it. And it's quite a good skill to learn because you can plan things, you know, from when you're going on holiday, for instance, everything you've got to take, all the people you've got to inform, but that's another story. Okay, so start thinking about what you want to call your business. You don't need a name to get started, so don't let it slow you down. That's the last thing you want. So this is the beginning of week 1. Plenty of you to think about. You can ask me lots of questions. Each of these things I'm going to go into in more detail. Okay. So this is just a bit of an overview to give you some idea of what you're going to do. But that mind map is amazing. If you can come to me next week with one done, that would be great. I'll show you mine, but mine is rather large and chaotic because I keep jotting down more things on them, more ideas. So that's it for now. You've got plenty to think about and work on. Okay, bye-bye for now and see you next week. If not before, I'll see you in the Facebook group. Come and talk to me in there and ask questions. Bye-bye for now.